So now you can navigate to next. And now you can edit your email. Now remember that I said you can use the subject line with the colon? This is where you'll be able to do so. So next to subject, where it says add subject line, then your subject line. And now it works with the colon. You'll also notice this pre-header section underneath the subject line. And usually we keep this part blank, but if you wanted to add a pre-header, for example, join us for a celebration. This text will appear in the receiver's inbox after the subject line. So they'll see it, it'll come from the Georgetown Club of Olympia. The subject line will be, "You're invited, join Olympia Hoyas for Jack's birthday bash." And then after that, it'll say, "Join us for a celebration." But if you end up keeping this blank, it'll just show the first part of the content of the email. Now let's look at the left-hand side. With the Blocks tab selected, you'll notice here the different content blocks that will be dragging and dropping into this space here. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'll be showing you 3 content blocks, and those blocks are the text block, the image block, and the button block. Now you're welcome to use the HTML block if you have experience with HTML coding, and the freeform block simply combines texts and images. So let's first add an image to our email. So you're going to want to hover over image block and simply drag and drop. Now there are 2 ways to add an image to your email. The first is that if you've already uploaded an image into your library, you would simply click on Browse. And then you can search if you know the name of the file. In this case, it's Jack birthday image. Perfect. However, if you didn't already upload an image into your library, you would just go to this blue button here, Create, Upload, and then you would just locate where on your computer the image is to upload it into the library. But since this is our image here, we just select it, click Select, and here is our image of Jack. So once you have your image, you can look over here under Dimensions, where you'll see the width and the height of the image. And you'll see that this box here, where it says Scale to Fit, is already checked off. And that will auto resize the image for the email. So if you actually uncheck this box, you'll see that it becomes the original size of the file, which is very big in this case, and it stretches out the banner. But when you uncheck the box, you also are able to resize it to your liking. So if you want to make it 500 pixels, for example, that's a lot better. The banner is not so stretched out. 300 pixels, anything like that. But we usually just check the Scale to Fit box, and that'll take care of the sizing. Another important thing to note once you've uploaded an image is this section underneath the dimensions that says alt text. And the reason why the alt text is so important is because it is for the visually impaired. So it's the text that will be read off from a screen reader for those who may not be able to see the image. So you want to be sure you always have alt text once you upload an image. And you can just caption it, anything describing what the image is. So Jack rolling in grass. Perfect. So now that everything looks great with our image, we're done with that. And now we can add text describing the event. So again, you would just hover over the block that you want to use and drag and drop. And when we add text, we usually have the content written out in a separate Word document, which makes it a whole lot easier. So that's what we're going to do in this example. We have the text already here. So you'd simply copy and paste. And there is your text. A quick thing that I just wanted to point out about the text block is that you'll see that birthday bash is bolded. And that's because looking at the Word document that we copied off of, Birthday Bash is bolded here. However, if you are here and you decide you wanted to add more styling, for example, you can do that here as well. So if you wanted to, let's say, italicize, you just go up here to the I, and you can underline it as well. You can also change the font as well as the font size to your liking. And if you wanted to add a hyperlink, for example, you would just select the text that you wanted to hyperlink. So let's hyperlink here, Celebrate Jack. You would go up to this chain icon. And for the purpose of this example, let's just do alumni.georgetown.edu. And you'll see that I did start off with the HTTP, but it'll automatically register and remove it once you type in the link. And then you just click on OK. You can change the link color if you want. And now the text is hyperlinked. So now that we have the two content blocks, I just want to point out something pretty neat that Content Builder does. So Content Builder is mobile responsive. So what that means is if you actually hover here, you'll see desktop and mobile. And if you click on mobile, it will show you how it adjusts and will look to someone looking at this email on their phone. So that's what's really cool about it. As you're creating your email, you can toggle back and forth just to see how it would look. Where this is really cool though is, for example, if you wanted to do a 2-column layout. So you would just go here to layouts and you would drag and drop this layout here. And so we could do an image and text here. And on the desktop view, it'll be next to each other. But if we look at how it would be on mobile, you'll see that it'll stack it. So if you had the image on the left, it'll be on top. And if you had text on the right, it would be on the bottom. And so that's a really, really a neat feature of Content Builder. I can also show you now that we have multiple content blocks, how to delete a content block. And to do so, you'd simply hover over it, click on this down arrow, and click on delete. And it'll just ask you to confirm. Let's click delete again. And that's how you delete a content block. So finally, let's add that button so people can click it and register for this event. So right now we're on the Layouts tab. We want to go back to the Blocks tab, select Button, and once again, drag and drop. And so for buttons, you want to change the text, right? RSVP today. And with buttons, you want them to link to a page. So if you have an event page where people can register, you would put that URL here. You would basically do what we did for the hyperlink of the text and type in the URL here. Perfect. And now you have your button and it will link to whatever website you put here. So now that we have our button, we have all three of our content blocks, the image, the text, and the button. But you'll notice that it's looking a bit squished. And that's because the blocks are just stacked on top of each other and don't have any spacing between them. So let me show you how to add spacing. So it's easier sometimes if you have three, for example, to select the one in the middle. And once you've selected it, you're going to want to go here to Block Settings. Click that tab and scroll down where you see this spacing section. And our rule of thumb is actually adding padding. So click on padding. You'll see that right now the entire box here is highlighted, and that's because if you were to add a value in here, and we usually add 20 pixels of space, you'll see that it adds space around the entire box. But if you just wanted to add that 20 pixel of padding just to certain sides, you would simply click on this chain here, and you'll see that it unlinked all of the values. So before, when it was clicked, changing one value would automatically change everything else. So if you unlink it, you see now that you can change one value without affecting all the others. So if we were just to add spacing to the top and bottom, which works as well because we've already styled this template to have some padding here, which you'll see, we can just remove padding on the left and the right and add padding to the top and the bottom to give it that space between the different blocks so that they're not just stacked on top of each other. So once everything is squared away with the padding, you can click on Done Editing. And you'll see now that the email has a lot cleaner of a look. You can give it a look over, make sure everything looks good and to your liking. Check both the desktop view and the mobile view. Everything looks good. Another thing I want to show you is that you can drag and drop the order of the content blocks. So if you decide that you want the button to go here after the image instead, you can simply, again, drag and drop. But just be aware that you'll have to add that padding then to the upper part of the button. So again, you would just click it, go to block settings, and then add padding just to the top part. But let's just leave it at the bottom for now. And once everything looks good to go, you can send your email.